When I first got into the Digimon card game back late last year, I kind of lied a little bit because I told myself and everyone that I wasn't going to get into it competitively. I was just going to sort of play it for fun. However, after surprising myself back at the May Regionals in Melbourne by becoming 24th, I was kind of like, okay, I guess I'm just a liar then. And then over the past weekend, we just had another offline regionals, this time in Sydney, New South Wales. Now, I was kind of like, oh, I'm probably not going to get top 32 again. I felt I got really lucky with my matchups. I feel like it was just pure luck. So it'd be nice to get top 32 again, but I was kind of doubtful. But for no good reason, because at the Sydney Regionals, I actually somehow made top 8. I came 7th. So that meant that I got some extra prizing and also a little bit of bragging rights, so I can gloat just a tiny little bit. It also meant that I got to surprise a few people by having a Zephagamon deck be in the top 8. In addition to that, I also managed to technically be undefeated. So I had 0 losses, 2 draws, and 5 wins. So I've just got it up here what my matchups were because I remember it, but then I know as soon as the camera starts rolling, I completely forget. So round 1 was Blue-Green Imperial. This round I got basically every card that I wanted. I had perfect hands, and both games went to turn 3, so I finished the round in about 10 minutes. I got everything I needed, my opponent not so much, and I was able to win fairly quickly. So that was my first surprise. I was like, well, I've already got a win, so that's pretty good. I always go into something like, well, if I can get 1 win, I'll be pretty happy. Then in my second round, I was against Dinos. We went to time, so it was a draw. Round 3 was another 2-0. It was against a Bardamon, which I had Medieval, but I also had my EX7 Zephaga, and of course I'll obviously be going through the deck shortly once I'm done going through how my matchups were. So that went pretty quickly too. Next was Sakuya, again another 2-0. This game went for a little bit longer. We kind of had a Valderam battle at one point, which is kind of funny because I was contemplating taking out Valderam for another agility training, and I'm glad that I didn't. Once again, Gilmonbread/Sean gave me the good advice of just leave it in and do the usual 50 games before you make any changes to the deck. So Valderam, it stays at least until Zephaga gets a level 7 early next year. Then so that was round 4, then my round 5 was Adventure, another 2-0. This one I feel like went pretty quickly as well. I again got a pretty good hand and I just kept on getting all the pieces that I needed. So this one wasn't too bad. Medieval obviously helps out a lot because whenever they play something by effect, so the option card, I can choose to blow something up. So that's not too bad again. And of course, if they run aces, I can just de-digi it with my Rapidmon, and if I have a Tamer, I have another protected level 5 on the board. And of course, if it's de-digiing an ace, I get the overflow as well. So slamming a 7 cost and getting 4 memory back, so effectively playing a protected level 5 for 3 memory isn't too bad. Oh, another thing about a Bardamon is that de-digi also worked pretty well there because, of course, a Bardamon evolves onto the egg for the level 4, which I believe is Soundbirdmon, so that counts as deletion, so I can just use Tropical Venom and de-digi it, and then of course, because you can't evolve past a level 3, but if it's a level 4 and a level 2, you can effectively just kill them with de-digivolving, so that was pretty handy. Next, and this is when I kind of got a little bit nervous because I only had 1 draw and the rest were wins. So round 6, I was like, I have to win this, and then I can effectively almost guarantee top 8. I was against Meggy Birds, so Megidramon with the Phoenixmon stuff, so it's kind of like Gilmon with the Phoenixmon top end. And this one was a pretty rough matchup. I did win, it went 2-1, and I found that bot decking was very good. I always really think that bot decking is great, especially with Zephace, against decks like Megidramon, and against decks like the Meggy Birds. So very handy to do that, especially because bot decking means that the on deletions don't trigger. Then we have the final round, which was against the person who ended up winning, of course, because we were at the top tables, which meant that since I was on table 1, so table 2 for the 6th round and table 1 for the 7th round, I had to get my deck checked quite a bit. Of course, the judge, Wilmac, was has actually watched my videos before and asked me if I was going to do a deck profile and interview with myself. So that was kind of funny, and honestly, it makes my little ego grow just a little bit when somebody recognizes me from the internet. So yes, the 7th round was against Gilloop, and we went to time, so it was a draw. So I have 2 draws, 0 losses, and 5 wins, which meant that my final placing was 7th. Now, on to going over the deck and how I feel like it had some great improvements from the previous times I've gone over this deck profile in various other videos. So, a lot of this is the same. We still have the Palmons, again, the start of main phase. One of your opponent's Digimon gets all turns when this Digimon becomes suspended, lose 2 memory. That's very handy as always, especially because with Medieval you're suspending something, especially because with the level 4s you evolve into a level 4, or in the promo V2 Gale you are suspending on play, so you are either evolving for free or playing it for 2 if we have the Palmon effect active. So I won't go over that too much because I have had that for a little bit in the deck. We also have the 3 of the Terramon from EX7. Now, I don't run the promo Terramon anymore. I found that it wasn't as useful to me as the other level 3s that I can run. So this is now a 3 of. It has the all turns when this Digimon deletes an opponent's Digimon in battle, gain a memory. That's pretty useful. Not as useful now I have Tropical Venoms, but the fact that it has the active effect of your turn when this Digimon evolves to a bird or avian, reduce the cost by 1. So you can kind of speed it up with that. So that's why it's a 3 of. Then we have the Terramon from the starter deck. It's just a searcher. It is pretty good. Of course, it means that I can't grab some of the other cards from my deck because I can't grab Tropical Venom, I can't grab Volderarm, but I can grab a lot of the deck. And I mean, sometimes I'm just bot decking Palmons, which hurts, or bot decking Rapidmon, which hurts. But for the most part, it is really good to find my important pieces like the Promo V2 Gale, the EX7 Grand Gale, the Tamers, Medievals, either the Zephagas, etc. Next, we have something that's new to the deck, and that is the BT16 Ukamon. This is just another case of I want to find my pieces, and I want to speed up the game just a little bit. It's also why I've gone back to 5 eggs because of Ukamon, because it reveals, and then you hatch again, so you're kind of going through your eggs effectively twice as fast as you would normally. So it's there to just help me find my pieces. Next, we have the level 4s. They haven't changed. I have been asked why I'm not running the EX7 Galemon, which has the when digivolving of play a tamer for free. And the reason for that is I'm only running 5 tamers. A lot of the time, I'm not actually going to have that in my hand. It's already on the field, or I've just not got a tamer in hand. So I feel like that is very much luck dependent on whatever's in my hand at the moment. So I run the ones that suspend when digivolving because 1, I need more things to suspend, and 2, because of the Palmon effect. So the level 4s haven't changed too much or at all. I'm pretty sure I've been running 8 level 4s, specifically these ones, for a little bit now, so I won't go over why they're good. The V2 Galemon is obviously the best one because it then evolves to a bird or avian level 5, so my EX7 Grand Gale, for example, and that is reduced by 1 for every other suspended Digimon. So if you're suspending something, you're pretty much always just jumping to your level 5, unless of course you don't have the bird or avian level 5 in hand. Next, we have our level 5s. These haven't changed. So we've got 4 of the Immunity Grand Gale, 1 of the Starter Deck Grand Gale, which I still don't really like as much as the EX7 Grand Gale, but the inheritable of unsuspending when it attacks an opponent's Digimon is always useful. Then we have the Rapidmon. Again, this hasn't changed very much either. It's good against a Bardamon because, again, you can effectively delete a Digimon just by de-diging it to a level 2. But again, my level 5s haven't changed. My level 6s also haven't changed. Medieval Gallant, it's just good. It's just good. It is just good. Especially with Tropical Venom in the deck, especially with Palmon in the deck as well. I'm sure if you're watching this, you probably know some things about the Digimon TCG, and yeah, a lot of people just like Medieval Gallant. It's just good. I don't like it when people do this, but you can just play it in any colored deck. Of course, it is beneficial to evolve into it because you get the when Digivolving, so you can suspend and blow something up. And then you get the all turns once per turn in addition to that when Digivolving. So the when Digivolving and all turns once per turn can both happen the same turn because the once per turn is only on the all turns. The when Digivolving is just when it's Digivolving. So pretty handy there. Zephaga Ace and EX7 Zeph are both good because they bot deck. Bot decking is pretty decent, especially in the current meta. There is, of course, the new Eater deck that's coming out in BT22, which has the ability to kind of like prevent deletion by, like, when it would leave the battle because of, area because of dying from battle, you can kind of like stop that by changing the sources around or something along those lines. So piercing doesn't go through in that case because it's battle damage. So bot decking it is a good way to get rid of that. It's the same kind of thing as Armor Purge in that way, I suppose. So bot decking, very important. People still ask me why I'm not running the starter deck Zephaga in this, and that's just a matter of preference. There was another Zephaga player, I believe there were a few, but the one that I saw had a slightly different list from mine. It ran the starter deck Zephaga and the EX7 Fluffymons as the egg. And that's not, to say that that's right or wrong. It's just a matter of preference. And my matter of preference is that I prefer the security attack +1 and the when Digivolving and when attacking, suspend one Digimon. If it's one of yours, bot deck an opponent suspended Digimon. So you can effectively do that multiple times a turn if you are unsuspending with Shoto or with the Grand Gale Inherit. Of course, you can also redirect and suspend itself and bot deck the thing you were originally attacking. It will unsuspend because you did target a Digimon and you're redirecting it so the attack doesn't fizzle. You can, of course, if you don't have the redirect Shoto in play, you can, of course, just have the attack fizzle, but you get those sweet 2 security checks. Next, we have Valderam. You have security attack +1. If you have 2 level 6s, you can effectively just evolve to it with the cost of a Scramble. So a 2 cost because you get 2 memory back, and Scramble means that you can evolve for a reduced cost of 3 if you use the Scramble, which is a cost of 2. So this one locks down the tamers of your opponent. It locks down on plays, so they can't have on plays, they can't unsuspend their tamers, and they can't unsuspend any of their Digimon. And that's just pretty decent as well, especially if you have Palmon's effect in play, because you can suspend a Digimon. So it is useful. Lock down your opponent. It's one of those cards that you want to kind of play if your opponent's about to win or you're about to win on your next turn. You can just stop them from basically playing the game in terms of that, especially because if they don't have a mem setter, like for example Sakuya, there are builds that run tamers, but they're not the mem setter ones. They're when you play an option, suspend to gain a memory. So you can stop them from doing that and stop them from having the on plays as well. Option cards have not changed that much. So I've got 3 agility trainings, 2 green memory boosts, 2 green scrambles, and of course the 3 tropical venoms, which I've done a video about why this is good, and it works really well with Medieval and with Vortex because you are deleting. And again, it works well if you're against a Bardamon and you de-digi it to the egg, and it is deleted because it's an egg. So very funny to play this, especially because every time I played it, I had like the people either side of me going, what? And they like would pause their game just to see what? Why is someone playing BT6 Tropical Venom? It's a 0 cost. On deletion, gain 2 memory. I run Medieval. Works really well. Works really well in a lot of green decks that do delete, especially if you're running Medieval Gallant. Also, I run it in Dinos. It can do pretty well in Rapid as well, with Rapid X, gaining 2 memory when something is deleted or DP is 0. Slam that Tropical Venom, get more memory back. It's a pretty decent idea. Tamers haven't changed. 3 of the EX7 Shotos, so the Piercing, Blocker 1, and Unsuspend, gain 1 memory if your opponent has a Digimon, and 2 of the Redirect Shoto, which is the starter deck mem setter. That hasn't changed too much. The last bit that has changed are the eggs. I found that since I started running the Tropical Venoms, I didn't need the extra memory so much, especially also when I put the Terramons up to 3. I already have that all turns when Digimon deletes an opponent's Digimon in battle, gain a memory. So I didn't really need the your turn gain a memory when it deletes a Digimon in battle. So I've gone for card draw. This was something that the deck was definitely missing. I found that it was hard to find my pieces. So we have one of the Gummymon, which has when your opponent's Digimon becomes suspended on your turn, draw 1. And I also have the Kokomon, when an effect spends one of your Digimon on your turn, draw 1. So I'm doing that a lot with Alliance, sometimes with Galemons, either of the Galemons, and a lot of the time with Grangale to get that immunity. So it's basically a matter of drawing more. However, this does mean that you're in danger of decking out, especially because there are decks that mill you, especially with like Megidramon or something along those lines. So you kind of just want to speed that process up so you don't deck out, which I haven't decked out before, but I've come very close. I've come to like, you know, the last few cards in the deck. So that can be a little bit of a worry. I've also thought of other eggs. I thought of Pinamon for a bit, because when attacking, if you're attacking an opponent's Digimon, draw 1. But then, since I have Ukamon, and that will be on top of the egg for a lot of the time, it's kind of a little bit risky to... I'm not going to attack into a Digimon with Ukamon just for a draw. So, yeah, I prefer these ones. Either of these can be good. You can do 4 of the Gummy and 1 of the Coco, or just do what I've done. You can even have the Fluffymon EX7. I just personally don't find that as useful now that I have Tropical Venom to gain the memory. But yeah, the card draw is definitely useful, and it definitely helps me find my pieces a lot, because again, I was struggling with finding my pieces and I found that I was bricking, but with Ukamon and with the eggs, it fixes that bricking problem, especially because you can also, if your opponent doesn't have a mem setter, you can choke them to 1, and also you can grab a tamer from the Ukamon. But effectively, that's it for this version of the deck. I can't imagine updating it anytime soon, probably not until we get more support, or if there's just anything that could be useful in the next few sets. But as of now, I'm pretty happy with this deck. It fixes a lot of my problems that I had with Zephaga, which was it did have a consistency issue. It either went off very early or not at all. With the card draw, with Ukamon, I feel like I can fix that a little bit more and guarantee that I get my pieces faster. Again, having not all my games go to overtime was great, especially because some of them were just 10-minute long games, because I got all my pieces because of the extra card draw. So very, very useful. But in any case, I hope I didn't go over too many things that were the same from previous videos. I tried to focus on the new bits and pieces from this deck. But also, before I wrap up, how cute is this Terramon coat that my friend from Locals Blackstar made? She also made a Palmon backpack, which is here. I'm just going to be very gentle because my computer keeps on blue screening, so it's got a meat, because I use meat to signify that all turns effect that Palmon has. So I will chuck a link to Blackstar's Instagram. It's Blackstar's Needlework. I will pop that in the description, so check that out. But in any case, that's it for this video. Let me know your thoughts, comments, questions, etc., in the comment section below. Like this video for I somehow managed to top 8, surprising mainly myself, and also a few people were very surprised by Tropical Venom. So yeah, so like the video for that. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you have subscribed, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your enemies, and of course, I'll see you in the next video. Bye!